Hi guys, so I have had my rott-tech HEX-NET interface now for pretty much a month. I've been using it daily at the shop, just regular day-to-day stuff, scanning for codes, doing full system scans, etc. Actually, before I get into this too far, this is catered towards the professional in terms of the guys that work on a huge variety of vehicles, in terms of the VAG product line, be it Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda, etc., Seat. So this is not going to be for the regular do-it-yourselfer. Sorry, I'm not awake yet. So keep that in mind because of the price break. You can see here on the website, let me just scroll here a little bit. These are all the different options that rott-tech/VCDS offers. This $99 one is the cheapest version, or the licensing option for VCDS, the software. It is limited though in terms of functionality, so be aware of that, but you can use the software with any third-party cable if you find that these other interfaces are outside of your budget. The next version up is the Hex V2 Enthusiast. It is, I think, a cable operated interface, but it almost looks like the cable can come off. Again, do your own investigating here. The one that I bought, rott-tech contacted me and they said that if I bought a enthusiast version, which is restricted to 10 vehicle VIN numbers, they would update me or upgrade me to an unlimited version, which they did. So thank you very much, rott-tech. So I basically have the HEX-NET Pro up, which is, again, and their going rate is $599 US. So I saved $100, so thank you. Again, this is only going to be catered basically for the professional people. So the do-it-yourselfers, this would be overkill. Just quickly, what I'm going to cover, I'm not going to go into too much detail in terms of how it works, etc., because it is being a VCDS product, or rott-tech product, running on VCDS or using VCDS to as the interface or the program to run the interface. Again, I'm not awake, sorry. It's basically, it operates the same way as you are familiar with already. If you have had VCDS in the past or have been using it in the past, the only difference being that it is wireless. It does come with a cable, which I have somewhere. Sorry, not in front of me right now. The cable can be plugged in, and you can use it with the cable. But I mainly only use it to check for updates. rott-tech recommends checking for updates, firmware updates, software updates once a month, or at least once a month. That way you're always up to date. I found setting up quite simple, just like the box instructions say. It comes, too much glare, sorry. There's instructions on the box that tell you how to do the quick setup guide, or setting it up, and it works perfectly flawlessly. There are different Wi-Fi options in terms of connecting to the HEX-NET. It's either access point mode or infrastructure mode. In infrastructure mode, you're able to, because you're connected to the World Wide Web internet, you can do updates, firmware updates, etc. And again, you would want to make sure that the cable is attached so that there are no dropouts during that firmware update. I myself prefer to use it in access point mode, which basically just allows me to use it in the shop as well as go on a test drive at the same time. In infrastructure mode, because you're accessing the your local shop's Wi-Fi internet, once you leave the shop and you are still connected to that shop Wi-Fi, the HEX-NET interface will lose connection, because again, it's using that shop Wi-Fi to communicate with the laptop that you're using. So I have a tendency of just accessing it through access point, and then that way, if I go for a test drive, my laptop's already, or still is, connected to it, and I don't lose connection. I have experienced dropouts with or losing signal with the HEX-NET, and I've noticed it mainly around strong internet locations where Wi-Fi, where there is a different, stronger Wi-Fi signal. And then I believe what's happening is that Windows or the laptop itself is responsible for the dropout because it's trying to access a different internet connection. I've mainly found it when I'm going past like a Starbucks or something where there's a strong internet, and then it'll momentarily drop out, and then it'll reconnect to the Wi-Fi signal that the dongle puts out, or the dongle, the HEX-NET interface puts out. All in all, I'm really happy with it. Again, my main concern was the USB being stressed with my older cables. I still have my 2 original VCDS cables. They're 10 years old. I bought them, well, more than that actually. I bought the first one in 2005, and then I bought another one in 2006, I believe. So really well built product, working good, never had any issues. But on my Varus, I've mentioned it before, the USB cable, when it's attached to my Varus and then I move it around, it stresses the USB port, and that's what I'm trying to get away from, and that's why I bought the HEX-NET interface from rott-tech. So again, setting up is quite easy. Follow the instructions, make sure that it's up to date before you use it. When you buy directly from rott-tech, all their devices are automatically registered to you, because during the purchasing process you provide all the information that they require for you to register any of their products. If you bought it through a third-party distributor, you would have to follow the registration process that rott-tech provides. Other than that, like I said, it's working flawlessly. The cable VCDS cables or interfaces that I have also drop out sometimes, and I think, again, just like the wireless HEX-NET, I believe it's more or less a Windows issue or an issue with the vehicle that can also happen. You can get USB, what do they call them, stabilizers, signal stabilizers or something like that, that can help prevent dropouts when you're using a USB dongle. I'll see if I can get a link to one of those devices and put it in the descriptions of this video. All in all, like I said, I'm really happy with it. The speed and performance is just as same as if it was a cable operated USB interface. I highly recommend the HEX-NET if you are also in the same boat as myself, where the USB cable is a problematic issue in terms of, stressing the USB port. So I'll be including some footage of me using the HEX-NET and just some regular stuff in terms of like a full system scan, so you can see how quickly it does it. It obviously depends on the vehicle. Scanning as well, that actually brings up another point. Newer vehicles, I think it was 2016 and newer, certain modules operate on a higher speed network protocol, or whatever you want to call it, where the old interfaces cannot keep up or have a harder time communicating with those vehicles or with those modules. And that was one of the other main reasons, aside from the wireless connectivity, for me to go with the HEX-NET, because it is able to accommodate the faster communication protocols that VAG, Volkswagen, Audi, VAG group, Volkswagen, Audi, Seat, etc. Will be using in the future. And again, as modules and as things change, this allows for firmware updates, whereas the older dongles / interfaces have limited storage for firmware updates. And again, that is the main reason why I updated the wireless, and the fact that it is able to accommodate newer vehicles as updates come out. Okay, so that's the HEX-NET. Sorry if this is a bit dark right now. I'm just plugging it in. Well, actually I have my headlight here. So just plug it in, and then it'll switch over to the last setting that it had in terms of wireless. It's either broadcasting or receiving through the local network or its own. I like to go hook up directly to the HEX-NET rather than go through the shop system, because that way if I'm in the shop and I need to go test driving, then I don't need to switch it over. When you go into infrastructure Wi-Fi communication, you can update the HEX-NET, and you can well, it's basically update. When it's in access point mode, you cannot. Did I just push the wrong button here? Sometimes rott-tech or VCDS takes quite a while to load. I'm not sure why that happens. There it is. I'm also screen recording in case my video camera has problems picking it up. So you can see it's quite quickly got to the login of the NG module. Sorry, I was trying to hide the name of the shop. So this is fuel pressure regulator valve open circuit. That's because I caused that, so I'm just going to clear that. No need to copy it. Fault code again, measuring block, and you can see the readings very nice and quick. You can see here air mass. So people are concerned about the speed of the wireless. You can see here the timing, the ignition timing angle changing rapidly, so it has no problems communicating. When you think about how much data, if you're transferring files, how quickly, let's say a 28 megabyte file goes, the data that's transmitted here is nowhere near at that package size. And it just locked up on me. But I've mentioned it before, even with the cable version of VCDS, I get lockups or drop-in signals. Yeah, it's definitely stuck. So as you can see, even my cable, my VCDS cable dongle loses connection. Here's my connection right here. Goes up to here, runs along the hoist, and then it goes into the car. So the odd time that the HEX-NET drops out, I shouldn't be too concerned, because it may very well be either, well, I don't know, again, I don't know if this is a software issue, if it's a hardware issue, if it's an issue with the vehicle. This is the second time that it's dropped out. So anyways, you got to keep that in mind when you upgrade to the HEX-NET, that it's not necessarily an issue with the HEX-NET. And I'm so used to dropouts anyways, loss of communication. It's not a real big issue, again, because I don't really do any type of long coding or whatever, that, you know, if things get interrupted, there might be a problem. I mainly use it just to look at value measuring blocks, you know, data PIDs, and maybe some graphing, data logging. And if it drops out, yes, it's an inconvenience, but no harm done. Whenever you don't see the icon up here rotating, you know that it's lost communication. So it's able to reestablish. Fault code's none. Go back to measuring box. And like I said, I'm not too concerned about this. It is a bit of a nuisance, an annoyance, but it's not like I'm doing any type of long coding and it gets stuck on me. And like I keep saying, it happens with the cable hex can and hex plus can cable as well. I'm really liking the wireless HEX-NET so far. Just watching temperatures after bleeding the cooling system. So you can see the HEX-NET down here. That's my one of my other cables. So depending on what I do, I'm getting close to test driving this one, so I'm going to drive it with the HEX-NET attached. When I just do regular, service checks, I pull it in. I put the car on the hoist and I use the cable. But once I start to go on test drives, that's when I use the HEX-NET, and also I think in shop now, so I can view it a lot easier here rather than having to look over to the screen, which you guys seen me do usually. So anyways, so far so good. I really like it. And then also you can use your cell phone with VCDS mobile. If you happen to have a check engine light pop up while you're driving or whatnot, and you have your HEX-NET in the glove box, but you don't have your laptop with you, then you can use the cell phone app to data log or to check the fault codes. I might install it as well on my cell phone just so that I can see what it's like, and then obviously maybe add it to this video to make it useful to you guys. So again, right now still hasn't dropped out, so that's good. And like I said, every now and then it does happen. It could very well be a Windows issue with the virus. I wouldn't put it past Windows that it is the cause of the dropouts. And I can obviously have multiple data groups or measuring blocks, and I'll rev it up. As with any software or any scan tool, the more data PIDs that are shown, the slower the refresh rate. That's to be expected. You can see here the timing. It's somewhat slow. I'm not going to say so slow, but let's go back and view just the timing part again. So you can see here with only 4 data PIDs, it's probably twice as fast. There is a turbo button. Lots of people have asked me about the turbo button. I've never pressed the turbo button. Haven't had a need for the turbo button, so I'm saving it for special occasions. Graphing, again, that has nothing to do with the HEX-NET itself. Graphing is just there. It's part of the software, so HEX-NET itself has nothing to do with it. It's a nice touch. If somebody can tell me how to get individual graphic gauges, rott-tech has got that in their advertising flyers, where you can see individual gauges, pop-out gauges. I have yet to figure out how to do it. Then again, it's my own fault. I've never spent the time researching. rott-tech has an awesome user base / web forum, or a web forum where people post questions, answer questions. The big bosses of rott-tech even jump in and answer questions. So that's the first place to go for when you have issues, or reoccurring issues, I should say. Again, the odd dropout, I really wouldn't worry about it. So yeah, I had the battery disconnected, so a lot of these readinesses have been set. Well, no, that's not true. It's because I cleared codes. If all readiness monitors are set and you disconnect the battery and you reconnect it, they're still going to show all passed. But once you clear code, all the readiness is reset. And my butt is getting warm. I don't like heated seats. It always makes me feel like I pissed my pants. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for rott-tech for providing. Well, no, I bought it. I did buy it, but they upgraded me to the unlimited VIN version. There's $100 difference, $100 US, so that's about, what is that, 130 Canadian. So much appreciated. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. I'm not a power user of rott-tech / VCDS. And like I said, any major issues or Any technical issues, refer to the rott-tech Wiki, as well as the forum that they have, the user base. There are a lot more a lot more knowledgeable people there using VCDS than I. Yes, I've had it for over 10 years, but it's just like a computer and my cell phone. I only use maybe 5-10% of its capabilities. I've got a 2015 Tiguan here. I'm going to do a full system scan. Tiguan. Let me double check the VIN. It's an AX. I'm using the wireless right now, and it's connected via the wireless Wi-Fi, not the shop Wi-Fi. As you can see, it's going pretty quick. As long as there's no dropouts, should be fine. I can also do a full system scan with my regular cable scan tool, the rott-tech cable one, just to see if it comes up with the same stuff. Vehicle's in for rough running. It initially runs rough and then it smoothens out. You can hear the vacuum leak with the hood closed. So the intake manifold, these things have a known issue or a common issue of the intake manifold breaking, and then there's a vacuum leak. That didn't take too long, so lots of OKs here. Okay. There's a radio malfunction. That's probably a tuner not initialized or something like that. That's just well, was that it? Radio tuner not enabled. Yep. Media player did no access. And then engine, it's probably running lean. Can't be reached. Wow. So let's try this again. AX start. It's doing the gateway first. Here comes the engine. Yeah, a bunch of codes. So sometimes it's worth doing multiple scans in case the first time it just had a communication fault. You can also do best out of 3 or best out of 5 scans just in case. And like I said, my main concern with the main reason for the wireless HEX-NET is test drives. I'm in the shop right now, so realistically I could be using my regular cable to do a full system scan. I'm just trying to demonstrate the features or the capability, obviously. And you want to always do a full system scan on your vehicle, because eventually when a module no longer works, you have on file
your coding for all the modules that were in the car. So when you get a new module, then you already have your coding on file, and it's just a matter of looking at your saved text file, and then you can code your new module. So same thing, engine and radio. This time engine intake manifold flat position sensor, bank 1 system 2 lean, intake manifold flat position. I think that's the same code. 2015, 2187. Idle control RPM higher than expected. That's because of the vacuum leak. As it compensates for the vacuum leak, the idle comes down. Random misfire to be expected with lean running condition on a couple of cylinders, 3 cylinders, all 4 cylinders are flagged. Intake manifold flap again, 2015. So here we go. We copy, and then what you do is you open a text file, you paste it into place, and then you save it as whatever vehicle it is, and that's how I keep track of all my files. VCDS scans, and so you can see here all my scans over the years. Realistically, I should be saving them with the license plate, but what I do is I just write down the day, today's date, the color of the vehicle, the make and model, and then what engine, and that's usually enough to cross-reference the vehicle if there is a concern, if there's a comeback or whatever, or even a customer comes back, 6 months later with a check engine light. I'm still able to track him down from the prior history through the shop software, as well as then the date that I scanned it. So that's it. Just was another quick scan here for you guys, and I'll elaborate more on the VCDS as I get more comfortable with it, the HEX-NET, sorry, and am able to tell you more about it. It'll basically be a work in progress throughout the years. It's not going to be just a single review, because you guys know that I'm using it, I like it, and then I'm just making you guys aware of it, and like I said, I'm going to do my best to point out any pros and cons. Thanks for watching.